Welcome to Living Fuel TV. I'm Casey Craichy with special guest Dr. Leonard Smith. Leonard, it is awesome to have you back.
It's great to be here. Thanks, Casey.
You think you have prostate cancer, or you think you're at risk for having prostate cancer, or you're just getting older and you want to prevent prostate cancer. What do you do? Well, that's what we're talking about here today. In the past segment, we talked to you about the issues, and I strongly encourage you to go back and watch that. But now, Leonard, if someone's got it and someone's just getting older because they've read all the news and they've heard all the situations, or they've got a blood test that tells them they have prostate cancer, or they have restricted urinary flow, or something that's indicating that, really the approach is pretty similar.
Yes, it really is. And as we were talking in the other segment, diet is really critical. And actually, even the New England Journal of Medicine several years ago had an article showing that major risk factors are too much dairy and too much meat. We're not saying you can't have those in your diet, but they ought to be minimal, not maximal. And I basically tell people that I see with any type of a health issue that 80 to 90% of our diet should be plant-based. And that's not just vegetables, it's also some fruit, seeds and nuts, legumes, grains, but the legumes and grains need to be either soaked or sprouted in their more natural form. And then if you are going to eat animal products, they really do need to be organic, free range, in moderation.
Well, you know, it's interesting because there was a lot of research out there, or a lot of researchers out there, and a lot of people today will tell you that, you know, high protein diets cause inflammation and all kinds of problems like that. But the research has really come to show that really is not true, that people with a high protein diet score better in virtually every measurable way. But they're thinking now that it might be high animal protein that has also animal fats that are soaked with toxins and so on and so forth. So that's not been proven yet, but it's certainly an interesting perspective.
Yeah, and there have been several brilliant researchers that have said that basically all protein isn't created equal because of how it comes. And you said it perfectly. The excess of saturated fat. And of course, the other problem with animal protein that we really have to face is animals, just like we do, bioconcentrate the toxins. And whether it's bisphenol A or PCBs or phthalates, the fat-soluble ones, or whether it's lead, mercury, cadmium, arsenic, aluminum, these are getting concentrated in everybody in very minor amounts. But as the planet gets more toxic, it becomes more of an issue. Plants also would concentrate some toxins, but nowhere near to the extent that animals do. And fish is a classic example of that. I think eating fish is probably the best animal protein to eat, but you want the little ones like sardines or krill or something like that. I'm not saying you can't eat a medium-sized fish, but what we do know is that tuna, kingfish or king mackerel, sailfish, swordfish, the really big fish that are several hundred pounds have definitely concentrated enough mercury in their tissue that even if you go to EPA.gov, they'll say that an 8-ounce can of tuna fish is your week's allowance for mercury.
Right, and then you mentioned krill. I'm not really a fan of shellfish like that because they basically are filters of toxins and so on and so forth. Right. But I do agree on the other. The processes that we touched on in the last segment, oxidation, inflammation, glycation, angiogenesis. These really are interesting in that they're wildly different processes, but they're all really regulated by the same dietary approaches.
Right. It's that simple, isn't it?
It's that simple. I mean, so we talk about.
But it's not just diet. I think right in there, because I have many friends and patients that are moving more toward the plant-based diet that still have problems with inflammation and whatnot, and to some degree I deal with that myself. So we do have to look at genes. Genes do matter. There's certain genetic testing people can do looking for these little single changes called SNPs. That's a acronym for single nucleotide isolated polymorphism. All that's saying in the hundreds of millions of nucleic acids in a gene, you can have one adenine go to a thymidine, and that would be enough to change how you might process folate from regular folate to 5-methylfolate. Matter of fact, 20% of the people may have problems with their B vitamin metabolism. If you know those, then you might actually consider supplementing with certain vitamins in addition to eating a healthy diet. But then the other really, really big one, I think, is stress. I think we live, because of our blessing is our curse, and it's computers, cell phones, telephones, televisions, too much information, too fast, not enough downtime.
Well, we
can control that if we choose.
Well, we talk about in Super Health the 7 keys: hydration, nutrition, exercise, stress, sleep, environmental hazards, and meditation and prayer being really key in balance. So it all comes back to balance there, really.
Absolutely.
But we talk about, nutritionally speaking, that to control the 4 markers we talked about: the oxidation, inflammation, glycation, angiogenesis. You know, the 4 corners really does address that. When you talk about low calorie, nutrient density, high broad spectrum antioxidant intake, low sugar, low glycemic response, and healthy fats such as fish oil and so on, is really important and really key in reversing these processes, because these processes are basis of diseases like prostate cancer and so on. So we're trying to get the inflammation out, quench the oxidation and so on. It really has a profound effect.
The oils are so critical. I mean, I think if there's one overview of problem, it is the fact we've got way too much omega-6, not enough omega-3, and we're certainly not ingesting enough omega-3. And it's actually been shown as a mechanism of inflammation that the omega-3s literally get incorporated in the cell membranes of white blood cells, and at a time of challenge, which we're going to be, the white blood cells actually will release the oils that are in their membranes. And if there's too much omega-6, what they're releasing is omega-6 that then converts to arachidonic acid, that promotes the whole inflammatory pathway.
Wow, incredible. We'll talk about more of that in the next segment. Leonard, that was awesome. We sure hope you enjoyed it. God bless you, and have a great day.